What's up, y'all? It's Zems, and welcome back to another reaction video. We're going to react to Notorious the Soup Man, who dissolved 500 victims from the cartel. I know a lot of you guys was like, hey Zim, I like cartel videos. Let's see more cartel videos. So I went back to the same YouTuber, man. Make sure you guys go stop by, hit that subscribe button, show your support. If you guys want to see this video in entirety, make sure you swoop down the description box, comment a link, and watch this video in entirety, because I'm going to be pausing, stopping, and talking through a whole thing. If you guys are new to the channel, my name is Zems, and welcome to the Crow's Nest. And we're not talking about Campbell's. We're not talking about Chunkies. We're not talking about sopa de pollo. We're talking about real dead bodies in broth. Maybe even blood. Who knows? We're about to find out, man. Let's get it.
Throughout his decade with two cartels, El Pozolero, or the Soup Man, dissolved up to 1,000 bodies in vats of acid. Breaking Bad is nothing compared to real life. When he was finally arrested, a horrible stench filled his room. He told the police officers he was making seafood soup. Yeah, that wasn't seafood soup. So abstain from eating any kind of soup as you watch this outrageous video and delve into the story of Santiago Meza, aka El Pozolero. Movies often show the glamorous side of cartels, the money, power, and status that only the top of the pyramid gets to live in. But behind the scenes, few things are as dark, brutal, and downright gruesome as cartels disposing of their enemies' bodies. Santiago Meza Lopez had a modest background. He was a poor farmer's boy and liked animals. In fact, it was his love of animals that brought him to the cartels. That and a desperate need for cash. Santiago started working with the Arellano Felix cartel in 1996. He tended to their horses and did their masonry work. It was honest work that simply paid better compared to anything he could do on his farm. But you know how cartels promise you endless riches for just a little bit of dirty work? That's always the hook. Make a threat or carry out a sketchy drug deal. Within months, you'll be rich. Sadly, Santiago fell into this trap, and before long, he was conducting narcotics deals for Arellano Felix. First, he was their dealer. Then he was their drug office keeper. He was disciplined and dedicated, and Felix encouraged this by promoting him. As he surveilled the depots around Tijuana toward the end of the century, the Arellano cartel started a bloody war with the notorious Sinaloa cartel.
Which was the other cartel that was mentioned in the last video, which why you should go stop by and go check it out, because I was talking about El Mencho and Encino cartel and the CNG cartel and all this other stuff. So it was kind of like how the other one he was talking about when he said, you know, they'll welcome you with open arms, you know, make it seem everything all right, but eventually they're going to ask you to do something and you can't say no. It's kind of like the Godfather when he says, I'm going to give you an offer you can't refuse, right? You could refuse it, but, you know, good luck stepping out the door, or good luck for the rest of the week, because 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to assassinate you or kill you or take out somebody in your family till you do what they say. So they're going to hurt you because technically you're hurting their business or hurting the organization by not contributing, by doing your part because they asked you to do it and you didn't do it.
Both cartels wanted control over the same trafficking routes into the U.S., but there's nothing simple about cartel fights. Constant attacks, kidnappings, and assassinations were terrorizing Mexico. A staggering 24,000 people lost their lives during just a few short years. But what do you do with all the bodies if you're a cartel boss and you don't want the police on your tail? In a really creepy twist, the thousands of victims opened up a job opportunity for Santiago. In the late 1990s, the Arellano Felix brothers, Ramon and Benjamin, invited Santiago to a secluded spot. They asked him to do a little experiment with them. They handed him a leg of beef and asked him to toss the leg into a container. The vat was filled with caustic soda, also known as lye, mixed with water and some other chemicals. They left Santiago with the container and told him to watch over the beef while they took care of other business. A few hours later, Santiago would confirm their experiment worked out the way they had intended it to. The leg of beef was completely dissolved, only coloring the liquid inside to the container a crimson red. It was gross, but it was nothing compared to what was about to happen. 6 months later, the Arellano Felix brothers revealed to Santiago what the experiment was about. He was going to carry out their dirtiest work, dissolve their enemies into vats of lye. The brothers had asked for advice from foreign cartel members about disposing of corpses. They were in over their heads, quite literally, in war victims, and simply dumping them in shady spots wasn't working anymore. The police were on the lookout for any cartel mistake so they could arrest the Tijuana cartel bosses at the end of the war. Now, Ramon and Benjamin had Santiago dissolve his first human body. Several henchmen were watching. If this worked, this would be their future method for all their enemies. Santiago undressed the body and stuffed it into a large drum, filled with the same mixture as before.
It's kind of like the Jeffrey Dahmer series. If you guys haven't seen it on Netflix, make sure you go stop by and check it out, because he used a couple of those tubs, and he even found some of the bodies that was still kind of like decomposing within the barrel because it wasn't fully like dissolved by the acid yet, but he used to do it all the time. And I can only imagine what his neighbor felt smelling that like body odor and stuff like that. From what I'm told is that smelling a dead body is a smell that you never forget. They said it's something that sticks with you for a long time. They said it doesn't smell like an animal. It's just something that you never want your nose to smell. But I don't know. Maybe do your research. Maybe see what they can compare some of the things to, or what people say it's compared to. But hopefully I never have to smell that.
Except this time, there were 200 liters of it. The drum's burner was lit up, and the mixture started to froth. Santiago left it overnight to cook. When he returned to the vat in the morning, there was no body inside, just a red sludge and some tiny bone fragments decorating the bottom of the container. El Pozolero was born. Before you ask, no, pozolero doesn't literally mean soup man. It comes from pozole, a traditional Mexican soup made with corn and meat. I know, El Pozolero ruined the dish forever.
I'm not a big fan of pozole. I know I'm not a big fan of other stuff like, you know, sopa de pollo and all the other, like the homemade, like traditional tamales that my friend's mom used to make. But I'm not into it. It was too crunchy. But again, maybe it was just something that I ate, or maybe it was the style that they made it in. But I wasn't a big fan of pozole. I like the pupusas and other stuff like that, but not this particular dish.
El Pozolero notified the Arellano Felix brothers of their successful experiment. They called in their truck driver. He took the container and drove it to a nearby canyon in the dead of night. He tossed the remains in there and carried the container back to the cartel headquarters. This would be the Tijuana cartel's preferred method of dealing with their bodies, and Santiago became their chief cleaner. El Pozolero was in charge of everything: buying oil containers, caustic soda, latex gloves, and gas masks. Everything about this job was simply horrifying, and El Pozolero seemed to be completely desensitized to it. Maybe he was even getting a kick out of it. Now he was working directly under drug lord Teodoro Garcia Cimental, aka El Teo. He would send El Pozolero a text message with a location every time he had a new body that he needed to get rid of. El Pozolero would arrive at the specific location, but it wouldn't be a simple exchange. A cohort of cars would pull up, and he would be called to find out which car the body was in. Then, 2 henchmen would help Pozolero carry the body into his vehicle, and he would drive off to his lab. There he would take care of the body. Sometimes it would be several bodies simultaneously. When he was done, he would take the bone remains and throw them into huge underground pits. By now, El Pozolero had his own graveyard, and business was booming, in the worst sense of the word. But as always, nothing lasts forever. El Teo was a ruthless, violent, and headstrong man. This caused several hiccups between him and the Arellano Felix brothers. In 2008, it all came to a boiling point. El Teo decided to switch sides and join the biggest rival cartel around, El Chapo and El Mayo's Sinaloa. And since El Pozolero was his man, he took him with him. This is how El Pozolero became the Sinaloa cartel's chief body disposer too. This is creepy on so many levels.
It really is.
He was dissolving the bodies of his former colleagues, but he didn't seem to care.
At this point, I feel like he's trying to stay alive, but it does kind of seem like he's kind of getting used to it and kind of likes doing it, because before he was like, you know, I'm not here for this. I just like animals and I want to work on a farm. And now he's like,
got beans, creams, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb.
And now he's dissolving those people he used to work for. So it's like he made $600 a week. That's not nothing, man. That's not even a lot of money.
Extent with the Sinaloa cartel would come to a swift end in less than a year. In January 2009, Mexican authorities tracked him down after an anonymous tip pointed them in his direction. When the officers barged in, he was stirring something, smelling horrible. He was dead drunk and slurring his words. When the officers asked him about his concoction, he claimed it was seafood soup. You can only imagine what it really was. After his arrest, however, El Pozolero decided to confess. He told the detectives he had dissolved around 300 bodies, but it's believed the actual number is over 1,000. The case made the headlines throughout Mexico. El Pozolero was pictured as a macabre soup master who had done the cartel's bidding for over a decade. No questions asked. El Pozolero's wife commented to the media.
He would say, "I prefer my job than for my family to die of hunger."
Was there really no alternative to the soup man job? With Santiago in prison, the police went on to discover his gruesome burial site, called the Chicken Coop. 250 kilos or 500 pounds of bones and bone remains were extracted by 2017. The creepy catch was that the chicken coop really was used to raise chickens too. It was a little farm along the free highway to Tecate, and it worked as a perfect mask for the El Pozolero's horrible affairs. But only 70 of El Pozolero's many bodies were dissolved at the chicken coop. 16,500 liters of human matter have been extracted from all over Tijuana. Human sludge had been poured out from the containers in every empty lot and wooded area. Imagine all the remains that still haven't been found. All the victims that will forever remain nameless, thanks to the cartel's gruesome disposal method.
My stomach
What's
hurt.
worse, El Pozolero taught others how to dissolve bodies. He even installed a drainage system during his last years on the job, making the process cleaner and easier for his disciples. He spoke about this with the investigators.
It was the devil to move them. They weighed a lot. After everything was cleaned up, we stored the barrels. We also washed the drain with hot water because the remains stuck to the pipes.
He spoke about it like it was just another job, complaining about all the physical work.
Bro, for real, he's making it seem like he's cleaning out, like chicken gizzard or something that went down the sink, bro. He talking about flesh. He was so nonchalant about it now. He was like, cold water didn't work, so we used hot water because the body parts would get stuck in the pipes. So they used the hot water to kind of like break down the body parts or tendons, whatever it is that's left over before it can go down in the drain. I thought they was going to say he raised chickens in there too, and then the chickens was eating the pieces of body parts, and then people go sell them shit, bro. Now I'm not gonna look at Soup the same for a minute. I gotta watch cartoons after this because it's making my stomach hurt.
Officers asked him if he had any remorse for what he did. He said, of course. He'd even told the cartel he didn't want to do the job anymore. But you can't really say no to cartel bosses. El Pozolero also insisted that he never killed any of his victims and that he never dissolved the bodies of women and children. In 2012, he was convicted and sentenced to 10 years in prison. During his trial, he said that he was not a dealer, a killer, or a monster. He was just a man doing his job for a cartel that wouldn't take no for an answer. In his last statement, he asked God for forgiveness and apologized to all his victims' families. But El Pozolero never revealed the location of all the other remains, so the victims' families were not pleased with his apology. They said it can't be genuine if he was not willing to help the police. Furthermore, many of these families were outraged when El Pozolero was released from prison in April 2022.
Last year?
In their opinion, it doesn't matter that he did not kill his victims. He dissolved 1,000 bodies. His sentence should be much harsher than 10 years. But if we consider that El Pozolero worked for the cartel, he would probably die if he told the police about the burial sites. However, this is not an excuse for all the atrocities he committed under their instruction. He took the job in the first place. To this day, the Mexican police are still retrieving bone remains in the Tijuana area. It's hard to even imagine the scale of the cartel's wars, the victims, and El Pozolero's body disposal industry. And who knows how many people are still doing what he did in 2009. Was El Pozolero an evil criminal, insensitive to pain and suffering? Or was he a simple person, caught at the wrong place at the wrong time, in a web of cartel manipulation and intimidation? And if so, could he have ever gotten out, were it not for his arrest?
I don't think he wouldn't have gotten it out if it wasn't for his arrest, because he felt like if he would have gotten out, they would have killed him. He said they ain't got to take no for an answer, but at the same time, I agree with the family is saying. If you really apologize and you feel sorry, then you will tell us where the bodies are. But at the same time, he's going to be out in 10 years, so the cartel's going to be waiting for him. So if he were to disclose those locations, they probably were going to kill him in jail, or exactly probably like a week or that month of when he got out of prison. So I'm pretty sure he probably changed his names and moved locations somewhere, or they got him in protective custody, because he already told him how they got rid of the parts and stuff like that of body parts. So who knows, man? That's some scary stuff. So I think in his mind, he was like, although I'm an accessory, I never physically killed the people. I just got rid of the evidence. So he kind of felt like he was not technically a killer, which I don't know. Let me know down in the comment section. What do you think? Does that make you a killer if you did not kill the person, but you knew they'd been killed, but you didn't go to the police or do anything? What do you think? Let me know down in the comment section, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. But again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.